Hello everyone, my name is James Dobson. I'm a photojournalist for a daily paper, and this is my review of a Nikon 400mm 2.8 VR2 lens. If you're serious about buying this lens, you probably already know most of the specs. It's 10.2 pounds, and it's 14.5 inches from the base right up to the hood here. And price, if you buy it used, you can find it anywhere between $5,500 and $7,000 US. Now, let's just start with the things I like about it, okay? It's the fastest focusing lens I own, period. Faster than the 70-200, faster than the 300, faster than any of my lenses. And it's very, very rare for me to ever miss focus on my photos with this particular lens. I really like the tripod ring. It has this knob here you unscrew, and then the whole lens shifts on the center of gravity. It's very, very smooth, well damped. And so honestly, you can leave it a little loose and it's going to stay where you want it. It's not going to roll around, but you can switch it from landscape to portrait very quickly. I like that feature very much. Another thing I like about it, it's one of the sharpest lenses I've ever used. Even at 2.8, if your subject is within like the rule of thirds, that center area, perfectly sharp. It falls off a little bit at the corners and it vignettes a little bit, but that's only when you're wide open. If you're at f4, it's crazy sharp for outdoor sports. Very, very recommended. I usually leave it at about 3.2 to 3.5 when shooting out in daylight for sports. Has a lot of micro contrast. Eyelashes really pop with headshots. Everything, like just optically, there's no aberrations. When you pay this much, you are getting the best glass Nikon makes. The VR is really nice. I didn't think I was going to use it much since I shoot mostly sports with this. But there have been times where I go to a city council meeting or, I'm shooting a portrait session and I want to dip it down to maybe 1/125th of a second. Well, the VR in this is good enough for that. I might shoot 2 or 3 frames and 2 of them will be tack sharp and the other might have a little bit of motion in it. But I have shaky hands, and when hand holding this 10-pound beast, well, things can get shaky. If we take a look at the front element here, you can see that this is a really sizable lens. I mean, it is 10 pounds of glass and metal. This thing's a very solid construction. I can leave it in my trunk rolling around and I don't even have to worry about it. It's a solid piece of glass for hardcore professionals, honestly. Okay, taking a closer look at the lens, all your switches are on the side here, more than you're probably used to. You have your focusing switch up here if you want to shoot only in manual or auto with manual override. Even when you're auto focusing, you can turn the ring at any time and that will manually focus it. You have your focus limiter switch here from full or 6 meters to infinity, which is really useful for shooting sports. It speeds up the focus even faster. You have your VR mode here, which is normal or tripod. Normal, you can leave it on there pretty much all the time. Tripod is when you're on a tripod, but maybe it's a windy day and the whole tripod's shaking just a little bit. That switch will make sure that the VR only compensates for those small movements. There's the memory recall button, which there are buttons all over the lens here that when you push, you can save points maybe at like a baseball plate. And when you push that button, it will focus it at that remembered distance. And then you have the beep down here that if you are shooting single shot and you want the focus confirmation beep, you can have that straight from the lens as well. So to give you an idea of how fast this thing focuses, I've put a towel over the front so it can't focus on anything. And I'm just going to push the autofocus button on this D600 here, and hopefully we can see it go from 0 to infinity. Here's it again. Okay, so you can see that it just zips all the way across that field, and that's really spanning a long distance. It can focus as close as, I don't even know here, let's check real quick. Yeah, I can focus about 2.8 meters away, all the way to infinity, so you can tell that it's moving very quickly there when searching for focus. One thing that Nikon super telephoto lenses have that you might not be used to is they have these little filters back here, so you don't put a polarizer on the front of these lenses. They have built-in 52mm filters, and this is just a clear glass filter on this one, but you can get circular polarizer ones as well that will just slide in here into this slot. So you might not be used to that feature. Now, while we're already here in close-up, I want to show you one thing I do not like about this lens, and that's the VR switch. You can see it says VR off and on here, and what you have to do is there's a button on this side, and you push and then turn, and that changes it. And so, you can see it here, just like that. Now, it keeps you from bumping it, which is true, but I feel like over time, this is going to break. It's a plastic switch on a spring, and I'm worried that in about 10 years or so, this might be a dud. Another thing I do not like about this lens is its hood. You can see it here. It's carbon fiber. It's very light, which I like, but it comes in two pieces. And this is so it fits in the carrying box that it comes with. Now, the problem with this is that the threads are prone to strip on this second piece here. And so I'm always worried that this is going to break and I'm going to have to buy a replacement. Well, you think that's simple, but one of these, a replacement one, costs more than $500. And that's just something I'm not willing to pay. The last thing I do not like about this lens is its focusing ring. Now, it's big, which I really like, but it's very weak. There's not much damping in it. And so I feel like when I'm hand holding the lens, I'm always just bumping it and it's shifting it out of focus. See, this is not a ring, this is for good grip here. But here, it slides around way too easy. And I wish it was just damped down a little bit more. But that's a minor problem with such a nice lens. You may be wondering what all this gaff tape is doing at the bottom of the lens. Well, the tripod foot that ships with this lens is very small and is not very good for holding. Like, it just doesn't provide a good grip. It's so it fits into the box, but really you want to buy an aftermarket foot. Well, most of these aftermarket foots kind of dig into your shoulder right here, and so I've taken a regular kitchen sponge and I've tied it up to make a little bit of a cushion for when I'm carrying it around at different events. Thank you for watching this review of the Nikon 400mm 2.8 VR2 lens. I'll attach some image samples so you can see for yourself how sharp this is. And if you guys are looking into buying one of these, I suggest buying them used off of fredmiranda.com or keh.com. And happy hunting, and I'll see you guys next time.